Okay, got it? Radical Christians. Crazy. Now, imagine if the radical Christians, the people who believed, let's just say, by the way, can you check for me? I think it's M-A-H-D-I. I think imagine the Christians. If they were people right now that said, we know who the Antichrist is, let's just say it's Bozo. We think it's that damn clown out of Chicago, Bozo. And I know when I say clown in Chicago, it's hard to narrow it down. But let's just say. And they had a country. They believed that we know who it is. It's the clown in Chicago. We know where he lives. And everything's going to be fine when we wash Chicago in blood, because Bozo is the Antichrist. And then let's add this, okay? They had nukes, and they just launched missiles. Do you think anyone in the press might be worried? If the media would bother to learn about Ahmadinejad in context, perhaps they might pay a little closer attention. Maybe the president would say, okay, wait, there's some other things here that people don't understand. Now, here's the other volatile piece of this puzzle, and it is Israel. You have to think of this now as a leader in Israel. Iran, this guy, says they're going to wipe you off the map. Okay, what does Israel do? I think they're probably a little sensitive on rhetoric like this. I mean, they literally have had regimes trying to kill them and kill every Jewish person on the planet over and over and over again. It's not exactly far-fetched that some guy will say, we'll vaporize all Jews. Especially some guy who believes in the Mahdi. And he believes that there will be a global government in Babylon to destroy you and the little Satan. Okay? It's not just this guy, because they'll say, well, hey, come on, he's just saying this. Really? Is that the courtesy that they give me? A guy without nukes? That I'm just saying this and it's not going to have any ramification? Let me ask you this question. Do you know who the Iranians, what side the Iranians were on back in World War II? Huh. Whose side were they? I have no idea who this old man is. Who is this guy? Anybody know?
Heidegger.
Okay. This guy, Heidegger, I've never seen a picture of him before. This is actually a German scholar, philosopher. One of Ahmadinejad's mentors, a guy who helped mold Ahmadinejad's beliefs, was this guy, German philosopher. He's a big intellectual, also a big anti-Semite, big anti-American from Germany. Who would have guessed that he hated the Jews? Every single technological step forward Iran takes, it merely gets a, well, there's that nut job again, whatever, from the media. And they move on. The media has buried the lead. That guy has influenced the mentor of Ahmadinejad. Again, whose side were they on in World War II? Germany's side. They were like this in World War II with the Germans. Ahmadinejad predicted a telling blow on February 11th. I don't know if anything's going to happen on February 11th. I have no idea. He's made a lot of threats. But the launch of the latest rocket should be a huge concern because it is another stepping stone on telling us how close we're getting to these guys. You have to ask yourself, do you believe Ahmadinejad? Do you believe this guy? Do you trust him? Do you believe this guy? Do you believe this guy even understands this guy? Do you think this guy is going to keep you safe from this guy? Does Israel think this guy is going to keep him safe from this guy? Look, I don't even know what to do at this point. I've been on this for 5 years saying, you've got to stop this guy now before it gets to this point, because now there's no good options left. Because another guy, do you have Netanyahu? This guy? Do you think he's going to roll the dice and go, nah, I don't know if they really mean it. That's just, okay. Maybe they're just saying that they're going to wipe us off the map. You think he's going to just let it go? Would you? Would you? By the way, show me the picture here. Okay, here's Hitler. I think this guy was the head of Iran. There's Hitler. You see, Iran and the Nazis, they were very, very close. In fact, do you know what was Iran called What was Iran called before it was Iran? Do you know? All right? Persia. When did they change it? And whose idea was it? Because they changed it to Iran. You know whose idea it was? This guy. The Iranian ambassador to Germany, under this guy, said, we've got a lot in common. You guys should name your country Iran. And they did. Significance? You know what that means in Farsi? Aryan. Back in a minute. Iran has said they've not launched a missile into space capable of carrying satellites. The question is, how close are they, if at all, of launching a nuclear missile? We have a guy from he's a professor of physics at UC Berkeley. He's the author of Physics for Future Presidents, Richard Muller. Richard, how are you, sir?
I'm wonderful. Delighted to be here.
I can't, well, there's two things I can't believe. I can't believe I have somebody from UC Berkeley, and he said, I'm delighted to be here. I have to tell you, I have read your book. It is fantastic. Everybody should read this book if you're interested in science at all and you're interested at all in the future. I will tell you this. I have great respect for you, even though I disagree, especially with your last chapter, like wholeheartedly. I have to tell you, I have respect for somebody who believes in something, but then says, you know what? But the solutions don't necessarily make sense this way. You're an honest broker of information, and those are rare, sir. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. I wanted to ask you about the missile launch, because they're saying they're launching satellites up, and actually I think they put, I'm not kidding, rats and worms into the top of the missile and launched it into space. How difficult is it to go now from a nuclear-tipped missile to the, from the worm and rat-based missile?
Well, you'll remember in the United States, our early satellites were the size of a grapefruit, a long time before we could actually launch a human. Rat and worm, that's what you put into space when you could launch a pound or two. A nuclear weapon, especially a crude nuclear weapon, would weigh hundreds of pounds, maybe 500 pounds or more.
Okay, but is the technology the same? I mean, isn't the piercing of the atmosphere kind of the big step? Enlarging something, is that tough?
Oh, piercing the atmosphere is pretty easy. We did that with V-2 rockets right after World War II, just getting up there. X-Prize does that. It gets up there. It's not hard to get up there. If you want to go into orbit or go a long distance, you have to get up to much higher velocity. It takes 30 times as much energy to get to high velocity so you can go across continents as it does to just get up there.
Okay.
Now, if you're in orbit already, yeah?
Go ahead. No, go ahead. If you're in orbit already.
If you can orbit a rat, you've launched a pound or two. If you're going to build a crude nuclear weapon, it's going to be quite heavy. The United States can build very sophisticated nuclear weapons that are relatively light.
Okay. So you're not concerned
that's hard.
You're not concerned that, because Ahmadinejad, and he says this every year, oh, on the anniversary, it's the 30th anniversary of the revolution, I got a big surprise for everybody. You're not concerned that they may have a nuclear-tipped missile?
No. I believe there are two things they're going to do. This is just my projecting based on what is possible from physics. The first step is, if I were them, I would explode a nuclear weapon. And that'll impress everybody. It'll put them in the category of North Korea, worthy of respect and so on. The second thing they'll do is launch a missile. And they'll do that, and everybody will say now they can launch a missile, and they'll mistakenly think that the two can be put together.
I have to tell you,
launching a missile and launching a nuclear weapon, very difficult to put together.
You really wrecked like this season of 24, because there was a guy who had been exposed to a certain amount of radiation and stuff. And I looked at my wife and I said, I can't watch this show. That's too much radiation. There's no chance of survival there. You put things into perspective, and one of the things that I learned reading your book is huge difference between a plutonium bomb and a uranium bomb. Plutonium bomb is just, sure, it might generate 121 gigawatts of electricity to go back to the future, but It's difficult to build a bomb like that. You didn't get the Back to the Future reference, did you? It's really easy, comparatively speaking, to build uranium, which they are enriching uranium now. How long do you think they have before actually building a bomb? Do you have any guess on that?
Oh, it's hard to say, but certainly not more than a year or two. If they enrich uranium and they build more facilities, if they have more facilities than we know about, it could easily be within a year.
Well, they have the cascading, I'm trying to remember what those are called, cascading centrifuges.
The centrifuges.
Right,
the
and they have a ton of them.
That's the modern way of doing it.
Right, and they have a ton of them, and they've been doing it for a couple of years. All right, Professor, thank you so much. I appreciate it, and you made me feel just a little bit better. All right.
Thank you.
I can't believe it. So, UC Berkeley. He was, what was this? I should have that framed. I'm happy to be here. Tenure. That's the only reason why he can say that. Back in a second.